They built a gate right across the only road leading to my property. Imagine waking up, ready to spend your Saturday doing nothing but sipping coffee on the porch, and you're met with a brand new, steel-reinforced monument to arrogance, sitting right where your family's driveway used to meet Old Mill Road. That's how my day started. I remember sitting in my truck, engine idling, watching the keypad on this monster of a gate flash red like it was mocking me. Name's Larry Stewart, and let me tell you, I don't scare easy, never have. But when Aurora Mitchell, the new HOA president, stood in front of me and told me I wasn't authorized to drive to my own damn cabin, I thought it was a joke, I really did, except, turns out, she wasn't kidding. And instead of yelling or raising hell, I did what she least expected. I went digging through county records. What I found turned her precious gate into my own monthly paycheck. You want a lesson in petty wars? Pull up a chair, friend. My uncle Raymond died in 2018, and I figured I was inheriting a quiet chunk of land, not the front seat to a slow-burning feud with an HOA that treated common sense like a rumor. This place, 28 acres of thick woods tucked behind the Crestview Hills subdivision, with a small hunting cabin, a clear cold creek, and a gravel drive stretching half a mile to Old Mill Road. It's been in my family since the early 80s. That road? Only way in, only way out. No secret trails, no alternate exits, just that stretch of gravel that used to meet the county-maintained road. Back in the day, the county would grade it, fix the ditches, send the snow plow when winter hit. But in the 90s, the county's budget dried up, and they stopped maintaining the outer section. Some slick developer scooped up the surrounding fields, plopped down Crestview Hills subdivision, complete with its own little homeowners association. My uncle, God bless him, called HOAs little kingdoms with too much power and not enough sense. And he wasn't wrong, but back then the first board was friendly enough. He had an understanding. He could keep using Old Mill Road as long as he didn't tear up the pavement or block traffic. He'd patch potholes now and then, trim brush. Neighborly stuff. While I got the place, I kept that peace, only visiting on weekends, working my engineering job in town, never bothering anyone, always paying my taxes, keeping the property clean, not so much as a bonfire to rile up the neighbors. For 2 years, life was peaceful. On Saturdays, I'd drive my old F-150 down the gravel, windows open, pine and creek water filling the air. The road cut through the subdivision for maybe 200 yards, but I barely noticed the houses. Kids playing, folks walking dogs. I'd wave, folks would wave back. Sometimes Paul Gardner, an older guy, would flag me down and talk fishing like neighbors should. For a while, I thought this was the kind of place where people looked out for each other. But then, Aurora Mitchell arrived. Now, Aurora, that woman, could turn a bake sale into a military operation. Early 50s, silver blonde hair, pearl earrings, always even pulling weeds, clipboard never leaving her hand. First time I met her was at the mailbox cluster. She smiled, but it never reached her eyes. "So, you're the cabin owner up the hill," she said. "We were just discussing your access at the last board meeting." That should have been my first warning. She'd come from some corporate management background, loved control, rules, hierarchy. Within months, Crestview Hills started to look more like a fortress. Speed bumps every 100 feet, shiny new signs, private security patrolling, ditches regrade. I figured she was just a little overzealous, wanting to leave her mark. Then came the email, a form letter, "Dear non-resident road user," stating anyone using Old Mill Road regularly now owed a maintenance fee of $150 a quarter, and unpaid accounts would lose access privileges. Attached was a payment link and a stern warning. Access privileges to my own property. I almost spit out my coffee. So I replied, nice and polite, explained that my right of access wasn't a courtesy. It was an easement recorded decades ago. Sent her the county document and everything. Aurora? She didn't respond. 2 weeks later, a hand-delivered letter showed up, warning me that vehicles without HOA permits could be towed from private roadways. Sent another polite email, quoted state property law. Silence. Next time I drove through, I saw guys in orange vests, measuring distances along the road, new wooden stakes hammered in near the culvert. Rumor was the HOA was upgrading security. I shrugged it off until Paul Gardner called. Larry, they're putting up a gate right across Old Mill. I damn near dropped my phone. A gate? Blocking the road? Yep. Big metal thing. Automatic. Aurora says it's for community safety, but it's going up right between your drive and the highway. I sped over, and there was a black steel gate, keypad, security camera, big sign, private property, residents only. I stared at it, called Aurora. She picked up cool as ice. Yes, Mr. Stewart, the board approved it. For resident access only. I told her I needed that road to reach my property. You're not a resident, but you can apply for guest access. A small annual fee, background check. I sat there in the dark that night, watching the keypad flicker like an insult, waiting 40 minutes until a nervous neighbor punched in the code and let me through. Aurora told us not to give you the code, he whispered. That's when I realized this wasn't a mistake. This was a deliberate move to squeeze me out. But here's the thing about me. I don't argue, I don't shout, and I sure as hell don't break things down. I win the only way that matters, legally. Next morning, I called my old friend James Porter, real estate lawyer. Explained everything. He didn't laugh, just said, let's dig. Every road, every plat, every easement has a story. We spent days combing through records, county archives, old maps, deeds, survey plats. Turned out, when the county abandoned the road in '94, they never gave it to the HOA. The first quarter mile, the part nearest the highway, still sat on an easement retained by my uncle, now me. The HOA paved and gated a road they didn't even fully own. That's like building a fence on your neighbor's land and charging them rent to walk through. James grinned when we figured it out. Congratulations. You own their front door. So, we drafted a cease and desist. Polite, devastatingly clear. Order the HOA to remove all barriers or face legal action. Sent it with return receipt. 3 days later, Aurora called, voice icy. You seem confused about the ownership of that road. I have the documents from the recorder's office, I said. The gate's on my easement. She snapped. Crestview Hills has maintained that road for decades. That gives us claim through adverse possession. Not over an active easement, I said. Silence. She accused me of bluffing. Check your mailbox, I replied. The paperwork's on its way. Did that slow her down? Not for a minute. Week later, fresh paint on the gate, brighter keypad, new Crestview Hills logo. More cameras. I tried calling again, left voicemails. No answer. Sat in my truck for nearly an hour, November wind rattling the windows. Paul Gardner pulled up. Aurora told the board you're being uncooperative, he said. She's convinced everyone you're freeloading off our road. I couldn't help but laugh. Told him my property came with a deed, not an HOA permission slip. Paul, God bless him, let me through again. You and me both on her bad side. I made coffee, sat on the porch, stared at the tree line, feeling clarity settle in. Not anger, not fear. Clarity. Monday morning, back at the courthouse. Filed a motion to enforce the cease and desist. James walked out of the clerk's office, looking proud. You really going to push this? I'm not the one pushing, I said. She built the gate. I'm just holding her to the law. Sent the court filing straight to the HOA's lawyer. Next day, Aurora called, sharp as broken glass. You filed with the county clerk. That's very aggressive for someone who claims to want peace. I laughed. You build a gate. She insisted I was trespassing. Actually, Mrs. Mitchell, your gate is trespassing. It sits square on my easement. Our lawyer says your lawyer is about to lose. You have 10 days to remove the obstruction or I'll let the court order it for you. She hung up. The court date came quick, December, cold and gray. I wore my best suit, brought every document. Aurora strutted in with her lawyer. 2 board members, eyes icy. Judge took one look at the evidence, deeds, plats, GPS photos of the gate posts sunk into my land. Mr. Renshaw, the coordinates match the official plat, correct? The judge asked. Technically, yes, the lawyer admitted. Then your client has built a barrier on land she doesn't own, the judge said flatly. Aurora tried to argue maintenance, community benefit, blah, blah. Judge cut her off. Good citizenship, Mrs. Mitchell, not ownership. The easement stands. The gate comes down. Bang, decision rendered. I nearly collapsed with relief. James leaned over, grinning. Told you, paperwork wins wars. But the story didn't end there. Does it ever? Aurora dragged it out. More letters, new legal threats. But here's where the real twist landed. Turns out, my easement didn't just let me use the road. It let me control who else used it, which meant the HOA needed my permission. James smiled. You should charge them rent. Fair market rate. And that's exactly what we did. Set a monthly lease, made them pay for decades of free use. Aurora howled, called it extortion, but the board folded. New president apologized. Residents finally saw through her act. Aurora? She was banned from meetings, caught vandalizing my new gate on security footage, charged with trespass. Word spread, property values dropped, real estate agents grumbled. Every month, the HOA sent a rent check with Aurora's name still printed in the memo line. Even after she moved away, the checks kept coming, now signed by her replacement, Susan Miller. And wouldn't you know it, the road stayed open, peaceful, and, for once, quiet. Every time I drive that quarter-mile, windows down, I think about my uncle's words. Land remembers who respects it. I learned the hard way that justice doesn't need to roar. Sometimes it just hums quietly under a set of Goodyear tires, paying interest every mile. The folks at Crestview Hills, they got their road, I got my piece, and Aurora Mitchell got exactly what she deserved. And if you've ever had an HOA or a neighbor try to fence you out, drop your story in the comments. Who do you think was more out of line, Aurora or me? Let's hear it. Because out here, the only thing stronger than a steel gate is a stubborn man with a deed and a little patience. 21.